Morning, everybody. Just a couple quick thoughts this morning on the end of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which we will finish up in the next day or two before having a little Easter break. Um, the thing that I want to really focus on in the last moments of Gawain's story are the contrast between the way he feels about his performance on the test with Lord Bertilac, who it turns out is the Green Knight's name, and the way everybody else feels about his performance. The thing that Gawain does that he feels deeply ashamed about is, of course, wears the magical girdle that the lady has given him, which will preserve his life. And also, the first time Bertilac goes to make a swing at him, the first time the Green Knight goes to make a swing at him, he flinches. He reveals that he has, human fear of his own life, which seems a perfectly reasonable thing, right? It's not a standard which, we might not expect anyone not to flinch if someone is swinging an axe at us. Although we also might remember that Bertilac himself, the Green Knight, in the first section of the poem, doesn't flinch, mainly because he's magic and he can have his head chopped off and it doesn't matter. So he can still talk as he picks up his head with his still sort of living hands. I mean, the difference between Bertilac's performance when Gawain takes a swing at him in Camelot in the first act, and Gawain's when Gawain has to receive the blow back, is that Gawain's human and Bertilac's not. Bertilac, the Green Knight, is a magical creature, an ally or a creation of the famous magician Morgan Le Fay. So, what in some ways the culmination of Gawain's battle is the revelation of the humanity of the hero. That although he understands himself as being bound to these extremely exalted ideals, both religious and chivalric or military, he also is fundamentally human. And the the kind of punchline, if you will, of the whole poem is the moment in stanza 101 in which Gawain returns to Camelot. He says how disappointed and how sad he is that he has failed, and Arthur and the rest of the knights laugh at him, and say, you haven't failed. You are incredibly brave. You are as brave or braver than any human can be expected to be. And in fact, the garter, the magical symbol that the Green Knight and the lady gave to Gawain, will now become the symbol of the sort of highest order of Knights of the Round Table. And in fact, the Order of the Garter is historically, one of the signature orders of English chivalry. It actually begins around 200 years probably before this poem was written. And the Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is a kind of imaginary ideological origin story for the Order of the Garter, one of the highest orders of chivalry in English culture. So the thing I want to think about is this humanizing of the hero. How different this is from Beowulf, who, as we talked about at some length, is in some ways more like the monsters than he is like the other people. He is the exception to every rule, whereas Gawain, although he holds himself to these high standards, these inhuman standards, really, he is fundamentally subject to mortality and weakness and fear and human suffering, including human temptation. So we'll talk about what difference that difference makes. We'll talk about why that difference might be significant and important, and how it changes our understanding of what the medieval hero is. We'll try to connect it, I think, to Harry Potter, and also to some figures in Tolkien. I mean, in Tolkien, I think we actually have we have both examples, right? The hobbits, like Gawain, are deeply human and fearful, whereas some of the big people in the story, like Aragorn or Legolas or Gandalf, don't really seem to be subject to this kind of humanizing fear or humanizing experience of suffering. So talk about that for a couple days. I hope everybody is looking forward to a little Easter break, and then we will come back and look at a few more things after that. Thanks.